to welcome everybody. I'm Mimi Davis. I'm president of East Charlotte Coalition of Neighborhoods. And we've been sending our emails out and our Facebook posts out saying that the one thing we need to do when we talk about school board and when we talk about school issues is somehow it's very hard to get in front of it. It's hard to get to the problem and to address the problem in time to actually do something about the problem. The most basic way you get in front of someone is by talking to the people who are going to make the decisions. Because you have to make sure that these are the people you want in that room when the vote comes and when the discussions happen. So I just wanted to welcome you. Debbie Dryden is going to be our moderator today. She'll give the questions. Diane Langevin from our board is going to be the boss because she's got the 15-second sign and the 30-second sign. And we're videotaping. We're going to record. This is going to the world. So thank you so much. I'll turn it over to Debbie so she can read the rules, and we'll get started with these great people.
All right, as we begin, may I ask that you silence your cell phones? Each candidate will be given 2 minutes at the beginning to introduce yourself and let us know why you're running for a seat on the school board. You'll be given 2 minutes to answer the questions, and you'll be warned after 15 seconds with a timekeeper, and then you're last to stop. You'll also be given each 2 minutes at the end of the forum to wrap up your points and to say thank you. The questions that you received will be asked in some random order, but I promise all of you will have an opportunity to answer all 4 of the questions. Thank you, Mr. Hall. Ms. McDaniel?
So, in listening to my fellow candidates over the course of our questionnaires and forums, if you will, what I'm learning is that you can't make a bad choice with any of us generally, but you can make a best decision. And so I sit before you standing in spirit, and I'm moved to remind you that we need transformative change. And my teaching style, my leadership style is transformation. And I have a long track record in effectiveness in that regard. In fact, unrivaled efficacy in that regard. So anything that I'm charged with, any task that I'm charged with, I have completed that task in an unrivaled manner. And this is well reported in both academia and the community. When first moving here in 2015, I single-handedly made some huge changes with regards to homelessness and worked directly with Charlotte Housing Authority. Got at least 3 individuals who were homeless in stable housing from downtown. Some of them who we later learned were suffering with cancer and on their deathbed. The point that I'm making here to you is that you need transformative change for CMS. We do. I'm also a CMS parent as well. And there's no better decision than myself for equity, inclusivity, and equity. And so I ask that you visit Linktree/CTigressRun for more details. And my number is publicly listed, and I always answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McDaniel. Ms. McDaniel, do you support the 2023 school bonds? Why or why not?
Okay, I'm glad you actually circled back to that question. So I am the only candidate who is a scientist, an economist at the doctoral level, and a lawyer. So number one, when you combine those perspectives, and of course we're talking about the expertise in the same, the things that Mr. Casher mentioned, which are completely relevant, sick buildings, mold, things that we're both learning that we have brought to the attention of this school district, you cannot separate the monetary negative externalities that go along with that. So that's the economic, anything that happens conversely in a bad way, right? And you cannot separate the lawsuits that CMS is already under. So that's more money. So we either fix the problem proactively with the bond, so that's me telling you, of course, I support it, even though we know that $2.5 billion is a grossly large amount of money, and nobody wants to see that money mismanaged again because we're concerned with how CMS has managed money in the past. We know that. But we either spend it now or it's going to be spent, quote unquote, through lawsuits, through the economic impact. And we can at least now, with everyone having more, so there's increased awareness around all of the negative externalities and the bad that has gone on, that there's so much pressure from the community and from even those state legislators and CMS board members who want to see change, that now that $2.5 billion is going to be, there's going to be a lot more scrutiny. And so we can have greater hope that it will be used properly, and especially if you elect someone like me who will keep them accountable.
Thank you, Ms. McDaniel. Ms. McDaniel, what do you see as the greatest challenge and or opportunity in school discipline, and how should the school handle this?
I heard you said the greatest challenge is discipline.
And or opportunity, and how should the school handle out of control students?
Oh, the same. Okay,
Yeah.
just making sure. So I agree with my colleagues generally, and we must ask the question: are they authentically out of control? Are there some behavioral issues, which are generally the case, that are actually in place that have not been properly managed or diagnosed? And those could include many spectrum of things. It can be the autism spectrum. It can be ADHD. It can be abuse in the home, and the child is presenting in a certain way that shows a behavioral problem, but instead they're actually coping with what they're dealing with at home. Is it a socioeconomic barrier? Are they hungry? Are they, as Ms. Monterey pointed out, which is highly accurate, are they culturally different and thus louder? I'm definitely loud. I think we all would agree that I'm loud. And in my culture, as a Haitian and Black woman, it's the norm. And that is not always the norm in every classroom. Now, thankfully, my parents taught me how to be respectful in a classroom and use an inside voice and things of that nature, but that is not always the case for every parent. Not every parent has those great parenting skills, and I don't want to actually say great because that suggests that the other parents are not doing their absolute best. They're doing their absolute best, and I believe that if we use the PTA and we use those transformative mindset that I mentioned before through the teachers, that we can encourage that type of change and control of the child's behavior.
Thank you very much.